800-pound motorcycle with the ease of a child's toy, you came to the right place, because I'm going to show you how it's done. 3 simple techniques. These techniques are the opposite of your instincts, so you won't pick this up on your own. Somebody's going to show you how it works, and that's what I'm here for. You don't have to be a motor officer to learn these techniques. I'm the only motor officer in the show. Right behind me is my wife, Donna. She's a former Rockette, Radio City Music Hall. And we got Mary Ann Hamilton, former ballet artist. Her husband, Tim Hamilton, also a former ballet artist. And bringing up the rear, we got Ken Milano. Ken is a proctologist. He says in spite of the bad economy, businesses look it up. So you don't have to be a cop to learn this stuff. Nothing to learn 3 simple techniques. I'm not going to be a big teacher to the cops. You should know that a good rider should be able to bring the motorcycle to a stop without putting the feet down, whip it around in one smooth motion. The whole reason these agencies use motorcycles is because of their maneuverability. But if you can't maneuver the bike the way you see me doing here, well, you're not getting your money's worth out of that motorcycle. What's more, when that car turns left in front of you, if you can't lean and swerve out of the way, you could be in deep trouble. Everybody knows somebody who says their car pulled out in front of me, so I had to lay her down. And they're proud too when they say that. I had to lay her down. What they're really saying is I had no clue how to get out of the way, so I slammed on the rear brake and slid on my ass, crashing to avoid a crash. That's a stupid thing to do. That's the last thing you want. Now, I'm going to stop and talk to you, tell you what this is all about.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a nice warm welcome for the Motorman.
She said a warm welcome. Come on, you're kidding me. This show is free. All right, don't be an ass kisser. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jerry Palladino. I'm a motor officer instructor. I'm also the maker of Ride Like a Pro DVD. It's the only instructional DVD that teaches the police motor officer techniques to you, the average rider. I used to be an average rider. You weren't born with these skills, guys. So many guys think they were born knowing how to ride, but the fact is, come on, guys, when you were born, you were fat, you were bald, you were crapping in your pants, and then you want to live long enough to go out of the world the same way you came in. You owe it to yourself to really learn how to ride that bike. In my case, it was the Florida Highway Patrol. I was the only deputy in a class with 15 state troopers. By the way, we have any state troopers here in this crowd? Put your hand up if you're a trooper. No, good. You know, a trooper stops you, you're going to get a ticket. There's no getting out of it, but people don't know why that is. The fact is, 30 years ago, all the troopers in America went on a commission basis. Yeah, they get to keep half the money from those tickets. So this is what you do. The next time a trooper stops you, he's writing that ticket, I want you to say, the only reason you'll give me that ticket is because you're on commission, because they love when you say that. They'll start laughing, they'll say, never mind, you can go. The first day of training, they had us lined up in a big parking lot, and this guy pulls up on a brand new police bike, and he held up the keys. He said, anybody here know how to ride a motorcycle? And I looked, nobody raised their hand, so I put my hand up, and as soon as I did, I knew I'd made a terrible mistake. I knew that because the trooper next to me said, you just made a terrible mistake. This guy jumped in my face, he screamed at me, he said, you don't know nothing about riding a motorcycle. But when you make it through this course, you're going to know how to ride. He was exactly right. I quickly found out the 20 years of experience I thought I had was really 1 year's experience repeated 20 times. I was making the same mistakes over and over again. But when I finished that course, I knew how to ride. I said, this has been the secret way too long. That's why I came out with a Ride Like a Pro video. It's a step-by-step approach to these techniques. And I'm going to go over the techniques right now. We just have a few minutes together, but I'll give you a pretty good idea what this is about. Believe me, the video is much more detailed. And we're going to talk about low speed handling because that's where everybody has a problem. Anybody have a problem balancing their bike at 60 miles an hour? Put your hand up. The guy way back there with the beer. No, when you're sober. But at low speeds, gravity wants to pull you to the ground. So here's the first technique. You must master the proper use of the friction zone. That's the area of clutch travel between completely open when you let it go and completely closed. At low speeds, you want to stay in that gray area. Stay in that gray area and your progress will be so much smoother and easier. Second technique is the proper use of the rear brake. Put a little bit of pressure on the rear brake, put some power to the rear wheel with the clutch and throttle, and the bike cannot fall over. And here's the third but most important technique, because you use this at all speeds, the proper use of your head and eyes. Wherever I turn my head and eyes, that's where the bike will go, because your hands will naturally follow your eyes. And the easiest way to put these techniques together is to start with what's commonly called the slow race. Now everybody's seen the slow race, but for our purposes, a slow means about a quick walking pace. What you want to do is have somebody stand 100 feet or so in front of the motorcycle. You want to focus on that person's face as you ride towards them, and the reason I do that is because my instincts tell me If the bike gets a little unsteady, to look down, don't do it. Your instincts are wrong. Whatever your brain tells you about riding a motorcycle, it's the opposite. Think of your brain as a politician. What it tells you sounds good, it just doesn't work in the real world. And that's my wife now. I'm going to focus on her face, then I keep my head and eyes up. I get in that sweet spot of the friction zone. I know I'm in the sweet spot if I can rev the motor without picking up speed. And I got just a little bit of pressure on the rear brake. You can even have that person walk alongside the bike to make sure you're at proper training speed. Right here is good. I admit some days I get her up to 10 miles an hour, but that's just to keep her in shape, doesn't help me. In only 20 minutes or so, the average person figures out how much easier it is to control even the biggest, heaviest bike simply by staying in the friction zone, putting a little pressure on the rear brake, and turning your head and eyes. I can put this bike any place I want to put it, don't have to put my feet down. Now once you get that friction zone down, you got to get over your fear of leaning the bike, because the bike turns by leaning. The further you lean the bike, the tighter the turn you can make. The easiest way to get over that fear, have somebody stand in the center of a big parking lot, focus on that person's face as you begin circling around them. And again, the reason you want to do that is because when that bike starts to lean, your brain is going to say, look at the ground, don't do it. And never hit the front brake at low speeds. When the handlebars are turned, it'll pull you to the ground like a magnet. So I'll focus on her face. Now I know, guys, if you're going to try this with an old riding buddy of yours, you don't want to be looking at his face. He might look like that guy. Just tell him to wear a full face helmet. Tell him it's for safety's sake, he might believe you. But if your assistant is as lovely as mine, you don't mind looking at a face and stuff with big circles. Leaning the bike just a little bit. Each time you go around, you want to lean a little further, a little further. Eventually you get to where you can put the pegs or the floorboards right on the ground. When you hear that scraping sound, it just says you've reached the limit of the lean angle, not to go any further. But you got to find those lean limits at low speeds under controlled conditions, not when rounding a turn at 50 or 60. If the first time you hear that scraping sound is coming around a curve at 50 miles an hour, I guarantee you, you'll straighten up the bike and run right off the curve. Now once you got that leaning down, you'll be ready for the elusive U-turn on a side street. So many people have a problem with that simple U-turn. In fact, let me see you show of hands. I'm not going to make fun of you, but put your hand up if you're having a problem making a U-turn. Okay, we got one wimp over there, two sissies over here. No, I'm kidding. Now, for the people who did not put their hand up, you might be misunderstanding me. When I say having a problem making a U-turn, if your U-turn looks like this is a problem. If every time your bike drops below 20 miles an hour, you suddenly turn into a little girl who just took the training wheels off the first two-wheeler, this ain't right. Or I see the guys with their feet out like this every place they go. I call them members of the Foot Draggers Riding Club. You could even be a member of the Foot Draggers Club and not know it, but if you wear your shoes out before your tires, you're a foot dragger. Get those feet up, come on. That's not helping you. I've seen guys with the giant front wheel on the motorcycle. They got 60 grand in their bike and they're still dragging their feet. You got all that stuff so you can look cool. You put those feet down like this, you look like a doofus. Now if you want people to say, hey, look at that guy, what a beautiful bike, but what a doofus riding it. Come on, get those feet up. Now if you notice these two red lines we have here in the parking lot, they're 24 feet apart. There's one here, one right over there. That's your average side street where you might want to make a U-turn. A bike like this turns in less than 18 feet, so theoretically, 24 feet should be a whole bunch of room to make a U-turn. Unless you do it like this. You're probably going to recognize a friend of yours in this demonstration. But here I am cruising down the road on a dinner run. I got the wife on the back of the bike. I even go by the shopping center so I can see my reflection as I ride by. You all do it. Some of them go around 2 or 3 times like this. Hey, look, honey, that's me. I look like a biker, don't I? I got a do-rag, got a black vest. I must be a biker. I even put a chain on my wallet. I don't know what the hell it's for, but my buddy got a chain, so I got a bigger one. Now, his wife, she looks at her reflection, and I don't know why this is, but women are more critical. She says, honey, did these chaps make my ass look big? And he says, no, you look fine. Always say no to that. She said, because, you know, I'm big boned. Maybe I shouldn't have got it. He says, no, you look great. She said, you know, when you were busy looking at yourself back there, you missed the turn. We're going to be late for dinner, make a U-turn and go back. Now, he's afraid of this U-turn. He starts at 5 feet from the curb. Next thing he does, he doesn't want to hit that curb, so he looks at it. He stares at the thing he doesn't want to hit. And I told you the bike goes wherever you look, the more he stares at it, the closer he gets to it. It's like a strange force is pulling him to that curb, and he gets here and he realizes he's not going to make it. Now he's got to back up an 850-pound motorcycle with a big mouth on the back, and that's not easy. And he's struggling. Finally he says, honey, come on, you got to get off. She She says, why do I have to get off? You think I'm fat? I'm not fat, I just got big bones. He said, I don't think it's your big bones, it's your big ass. Now get the hell off the bike. And now we got a full-blown domestic situation. She's never getting back on that bike. That ride is over. But I'm going to show you how to avoid that. Using 3 simple techniques. Head nod, this friction zone, a little bit of rear brake, nothing to it. First thing I'm going to do is get my front tire close to the curb on the right. I'll be in the friction zone. Little pressure on the rear brake. As soon as my front tire gets near that curb, I turn my head and eyes and look behind me because that's where I want to go. My hands will follow my eyes. Front tire goes here, head and eyes go back here, and as you can see, that's 6 or 8 feet to spare. If the street is only 20 foot wide, I just lean the bike a little further. The further I lean the motorcycle, the tighter the turn I can make. But I know what you're thinking. I've been doing this for a while, and I got to where I could practically read people's minds. Let me find somebody here whose mind I could read. Let's see. This guy, you know what he's thinking? He's thinking, I'd love to see this guy fall on his ass just once. So how love you think of that? There's another guy in the back there saying, wait a second. I ride with my wife on the back of the bike, and she's back there, and I try to make a U-turn. I feel like I'm docking the freaking Queen Mary. I need a tugboat to help me out. So let me see you do this stuff with 2 people on the bike. All right, this is for the skeptics. My wife's not afraid to get on here. She has complete confidence in my abilities. Keep in mind also, ladies, if you're going to get on a bike with a guy and he's duck walking it, the handlebars are shaking, he's staring at the ground, I question his masculinity first of all. I'm telling you, he's dragging his feet. He's got a little sugar in his tank. Don't get on there, you're wasting your time. Come on, nothing changes with a passenger. Head and eyes, friction zone, a little bit of rear brake, the bike reacts the exact same way. Right between these lines here, folks, look at that. Nothing to it. And I'll tell you a little secret, when I first started doing this, my wife was a slim trim, 125 pounds, and even though she's ballooned up to 128, doesn't matter. The weight is on the tires. Who cares how much the bike weighs? But I'm sure there's some wise guy back there saying right now, well, suppose your wife is, maybe a little big boned. Maybe she weighs more than you. What do you do then? Well, I'm going to show you that doesn't mean a thing. Come on out here, Marianne. Marianne is a little tiny, skinny little thing, weighs 102 pounds. Whoa, what are you doing? Tim, I want you on the back of the bike. Yeah, because you weigh twice as much as her, so that would be impressive. Switch places quickly. How many times I gotta tell you this? Quickly now, they don't have all day. Now don't try this at home, kids, unless you use your father's bike. Oh, you like that because it's dangerous. I see what kind of crowd we got here. Tim, it's a safety-oriented show, so please hold on. Find something to hold on to. There you go. For safety reasons only. These two have been married, by the way, for 31 years. They're high school sweethearts. Marianne told me when they started dating in high school, they used to go out dining and dancing 3 times a week. 31 years later, they still go out dining and dancing 3 times a week. She goes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. He goes Tuesday, Saturday, and Thursday. But the point is, little bitty girl, guys on the back, doesn't mean anything. The weight is on the tires. Anybody can do this. We have any lady riders in this crowd? Put your hands up, ladies, if you ride your own. 1, 2, 3. And then there's a guy with his hand up back. That's okay, sir. You come out of the closet here in Leesburg. It's a free country. You live like you want to live. 2 tiny women. 2 850-pound motorcycles handled with the ease of a child's toy. There's nothing to it. It's just technique. I show you in my video a step-by-step approach to these techniques so you can't possibly screw it up. In about 3 or 4 hours' time, we'll change your riding life forever. Get everybody in here, place and follow the lever. I've seen a lot of group rides in my time, most of which look more like a Chinese fire drill than anything you're going to see here. It shouldn't be that way. Your life depends on those people behind you. Everybody who rides should know the motovlog techniques. We have the Ride Like a Pro DVD on sale here, folks, for $25, saving $5 over the internet price. We also have Survive in the Mean Streets DVD. That's going to show you how to avoid the most common motorcycle crashes using the police motovlog techniques. That's just $20. And we got Ride Like a Pro on the channel of the track, and that shows you how to use these techniques at high speeds on a one-and-a-half road. And our brand new release, Shortcuts to Riding Like a Pro. We'll have you whipping those U-turns in about 20 minutes time watching this video. speed ride. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. I hope I made you laugh and you learned something at the same time. And keep in mind, if you think riding a motorcycle is fun now, imagine if you actually knew what the hell you were doing. I guarantee you, it's more fun then. This is your chance to get the DVD. If you missed any part of this, we're going to do it all over again at 12 o'clock. Thank you folks for coming by. Thank you so much.